Well, after 100 or so days, we've learned some lessons on our stuff. This is what we carried over the finish line, as it were.
So this is what we had in our packs at the end of the PNT. So there have been some ins and outs of some things. Not everything went with us the whole way, and not all of the things here travelled the whole way. My clothes over here. So hiking clothes, as you can see, not quite the same condition it was at the start. Wearing a skirt worked really, really well, along with my sun hoodie. I did wear a pair of shorts underneath, which was really good, and also when it rained I'd take off the skirt and just wear those under my. These are not the ones I started with, they disintegrated and I had to mail all of these, and these are actually heavier cotton, which wasn't ideal because they took forever to dry. Icebreaker bra, 3 pairs of underwear. I started with 4 but 1 disintegrated. Camp clothes, icebreaker singlet and a long sleeve merino. The long sleeve merino almost got sent away when we were in the heat wave, but I'm glad I didn't because I wore that every night. I started out with a very thin pair of pajama pants which also disintegrated, and halfway subbed them for a pair of smartwool leggings. Alpha and puffer jacket. Wind shirt, wouldn't be without it, not just for the wind, but when there was mosquitoes, they couldn't bite through that. So American mosquitoes will bite through clothing. That was invaluable, as were my Enlightened Equipment wind pants. When we got to the Olympic coast, we decided that we had enough of being wet, so we bought rain pants in Port Angeles. Raincoat, which went the whole way. Again, in the heat wave in Montana, we very seriously thought about sending these away because we had no rain for 40 days. My towel, the Chucks cloth, died, so I had to sub in a microfiber towel. Pea cloth. Now socks was a revolving thing, so I actually ended up with this many pairs of socks, and just as many pairs of socks went home. So I ended up with a pair of Darn Tough socks, or I'd wear this thinner pair of Darn Tough and ininji liners. These were my socks for my birthday. These were my other Smartwool that were camp socks. I bought some American Darn Tough socks in Port Angeles, which actually haven't been worn, but they got carried. Buff, which wasn't used for the first 8 weeks, came into its own at the end. T-shirt, spare of the moment purchase in REI. So that and my long trousers pretty much were only worn in town. Occasionally wore those hiking. So that was probably a bit of a luxury, having town clothes. But dirty girl gaiters. My Sunday hat got lost somewhere along the line, got left somewhere or fell out of my pack, so I now have an Olympic National Park souvenir cap. Birkenstocks, camp shoes. These are quite different. Started out with Saliwa lightweight boots, which gave me a lot of blisters, and changed to Brooks Cascadias. Unfortunately, they've come to the end of their life. Our trekking poles, Black Diamond, carbon fibre poles were amazing. Really, really good. One of my tips did break, which we replaced in Port Angeles with. Unfortunately, on day 99, I fell on my pole and snapped it. So that's part of the shaft, needs to be replaced on mine. This was a sort of, do we take this Nemo mat? It was actually useful because we could put it under the other bedrolls when they deflated, for sitting on, for putting gear on. So that was probably a luxury item. We each had a Cedar Summit pillow and we had one quilt. Our second sleeping bag was sitting packed up in Seattle, and this is probably the one change we would make. We would have had something, a parcel that was accessible in Port Townsend or Port Angeles or Cedro Woolly for near the end, because by the time we finished it was getting pretty cold and really we needed a quilt each rather than trying to share a quilt. So halfway we did sub in thermal liners to kind of make it a bit warmer with the sleeping bag after a very cold night and day in Spanish cabin. With bedrolls, neither of these are the bedrolls we started with. Matthew's Cedar Summit started deflating and developed a fault quite early on. Got that replaced by Cedar Summit. Then mine started doing the same thing. So at one point every night I was fixing another hole. So I've now got a thermarest. And this one has actually now developed the same fault. This is our kitchen department. So we had our Toaks titanium pot and a smaller one so we could cook and eat out of that one. A lid that doubles as a frying pan. A bowl, cups, little MSR coffee basket, which worked really well, makes a pretty good coffee just with coffee grounds. MSR Pocket Rocket, the auto ignition stopped working about halfway. Pocket knife and a knife for spreading. 2 spoons, one with a long handle. We're down to 1 fork because one got left somewhere. We did actually talk to another thru hiker who said that some hiking couples share a spork. So that seems to me to be a recipe for divorce. If you can hike together, that's all very well, but trying to share an eating utensil as well, that's probably a step too far. Our water bags are not quite the same colour they used to be. So the C-knock worked really, really well. Did develop a hole that we had to fix because I put it on something and it fell off onto some sticks. But it was good because we could just hang it up and let gravity do its thing. So we bought a second one of those to increase capacity, and that's a thicker one, so it was a little bit sturdier. Water filters here. It was good to have two because we could swap them over when one got clogged a bit, and also a backup spade for toileting, for dry bags for my clothes. This is a strap that I put onto the lid of my pack, which comes off, good for town days as a handbag to go to town with. Pencil torch each. We started out with a kilo of Radix smoothie mix, and it was actually absolutely disgusting, and the last of it got thrown out, but the bag was well worth it. It's been the rubbish bag for 100 days. A bag of electronic, it's quite heavy actually, so we probably could have saved weight there, but between cables and plugs and other things to keep the cameras going, we needed to have it. This bag here is full of foot treatment things: Vaseline, Body Glide, Gurney Goo, moleskin, Lamisil, everything really to keep the feet going, because it's like maintenance on a car. That's what you're using to walk. First aid kit, which wasn't used that much, but that's what you want. This is our Ursack, which we carried the whole way, and the beer can was only used from Port Townsend, or carried from Port Townsend, because Olympic National Park requires you to have a beer can. Camera bag, good at night to protect the camera. Picked up these along the way: birds, wildlife and animal tracks of the Pacific Northwest, so that was quite good for identifying what we were seeing.
This is our tent, Durston, extra good. It was certainly problematic once there was a lot of moisture. We've got a lot of condensation, but in terms of a lightweight shelter, it was absolutely fantastic. Easier to put up. Carried the ground sheet, which I think was really worthwhile. Doesn't weigh much and protected the DCF floor, but the best part about it was having a defined space, so that when you were pitching your tent, you could lay that out and get it just right, so that you avoided the roots and rocks and bits and pieces. That was a really good pitching aid, as it were. Pegs, we had the MSR groundhogs, 4 big ones and 4 little ones. So in terms of my clothes, most of the stuff will be pretty familiar, although it's a slightly different colour. Black diamond sun hoodie. It's faded and gone pretty manky. I had a merino t-shirt. Once we got to Port Angeles, it was getting way too cold, so I bought a souvenir smartwool merino as well. Make things a little bit warmer. My Rab long johns were great. Shorts, MacPack Alpha, fantastic. It's got a bit thinner now. Enlightened equipment, puffy. To be honest, it didn't keep me as warm as I'd hoped. It might work okay for PCT, but just in the colder, wetter climates, it just didn't seem to be as warm as what it might have been. Trousers, had a few holes patched up in them. Trousers were good on occasion when there was nettles and things to be wary of. The rain skirt was good in some situations, but when it was really windy and really cold, it was useless. So we got some new waterproof trousers, which are really good for extreme weather events, keep me much warmer. My raincoat was fantastic. Montbell, very breathable, very lightweight. Shoes, subbed out to these Topos. The fit's good. They're the ones with a waterproof lining, and that was the only sort that they could get me at the time. But they got pretty hot and sweaty, and so ideal. So ideally be the ones without the waterproof lining for me. Trusty PNT hat. Check out 100 days. Look at that, what a beauty. Hasn't been washed either. I've ended up with endless socks, just trying different things to make my feet comfortable. A couple of pairs of darn toughs. It's true what they say, that it's pretty hard to put a hole in them. Smartwools are comfortable, but they do get holes. And the ininji liners, that was an idea that ran with for a while. And my favourite MacPack beanie, this is my wind fleece, and a t-shirt for nighttime, town days. Second hat, I needed it in Montana when I needed the full shade all around. Becky's, I don't know, I'm on the fence about whether I should have bought them or not. Hot tip guys, this torch weighs almost nothing, puts out enough light to do whatever you need to do with it. We did hiking for like hours in the dark and it still worked fine. Petzl Bindi. Electronics, we had the 2 phones, and it was worth taking the iPad for doing things on the move. Socks was the biggest thing in feet, as I haven't had blisters for years with the same combo of boots and socks. There was a lot of muck around in socks, so yeah, you might look at this wider unit with so many pairs of socks. Day after day after day after day, trying all different things. Cooler socks, warmer socks,